Literally a bundle of wits waiting for this incredible new show with love from Meghan. You must be waiting for it.
I mean, Meghan, some of her advice that she gave People magazine this week was how she likes to take.
Everyone was buzzing with excitement, waiting for Meghan's latest project to drop. A show she described as heartwarming, thoughtful, and full of love. With Love, Meghan was supposed to be her big comeback. She even gave People magazine a cozy little interview about how she enjoys her Chinese takeout. But what was meant to be a sweet return has turned into a stunning fall from grace. And this time, Meghan isn't blaming the press, the royal family, or public perception. No, according to insiders, she's pointing the finger directly at Netflix's chief content officer, Bela Bajaria. Behind closed doors, Meghan is said to be furious. Reports claim she accused Bajaria of botching the release, poor promotion, bad timing, and not giving the show the platform it needed. She allegedly believes the series was sabotaged from within, but critics are painting a very different picture. They say this wasn't sabotage, it was a slow-motion self-destruction. One driven by Meghan's need for total creative control, a lack of original substance, and the simple truth that audiences just aren't buying into her brand anymore. Netflix gave her everything. The budget, the cameras, the platform. The hype was building. But when with Love, Meghan quietly dropped on the platform. Nothing happened, no viral moments, no trending clips, no rave reviews, just silence and disappointing viewership numbers. Even worse, the show failed to crack Netflix's top 10. Sources say Meghan privately lashed out at Bajaria again, doubling down on her belief that the rollout was poorly handled and her project was left to sink without support. But those closest to the situation are beginning to whisper what many are thinking. The show didn't fail because of Netflix. It failed because it simply wasn't good enough. Now, new reports describe explosive behind-the-scenes tension. Meghan, once again, is said to be lashing out, unable to accept that audiences have moved on. And according to someone who was there when the show was first pitched, the mood was different from the start. Netflix executives reportedly said, to her, "You used to be an actress." Apparently. Despite Meghan's frustration, the truth is, As Ever didn't suffer from lack of support. It received a solid promotional push. There were press mentions, trailers, homepage banners, the kind of marketing many creators only dream of. But none of it worked. Why? Because people simply didn't care. The series failed to spark interest. There was no buzz, no momentum, and, worst of all, no meaning. Even with Meghan Markle's international name attached, As Ever underperformed in every way. Within 72 hours of release, the numbers told a brutal story. It didn't make Netflix's trending charts, not even in major English-speaking countries. Critics slammed it for being shallow, a glossy attempt at storytelling masked in feel-good activism. The writing, flat, the pacing, slow, the message, unclear, and while Meghan shared sweet anecdotes in interviews, like how she writes late-night emails to Archie and Lilibet for them to read one day, it wasn't enough to distract from the harsh reviews. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a lukewarm score. YouTube reactions, brutally sarcastic. One critic from The Hollywood Reporter didn't hold back. Meghan wants to be Oprah, but without the wisdom or the warmth. Before marrying Prince Harry, Meghan was known for her role as an actress. Today, she's positioned herself as a podcaster and producer. But even her debut episode, featuring a close friend, was met with mixed reactions, and things were even worse behind the scenes. Sources inside Netflix revealed Meghan was extremely difficult to work with. She reportedly clashed with the creative team, insisted on rewriting major sections of dialogue, and ignored input from veteran showrunners. She wanted full control. Every line, every shot, every frame. But that level of micromanagement came at a cost. What could have been a heartfelt, meaningful project turned into something overproduced and emotionally hollow. She didn't trust the professionals, one insider said. She cared more about the image than the story. In the end, audiences could feel it. The show didn't connect. It felt fake. It felt corporate. It felt like one long branding exercise. Now, as Meghan points the blame at Bela Bajaria, many within the industry see things very differently. The failure wasn't sabotage. It was a reflection of a deeper issue. People are no longer buying into the Meghan Markle brand. And As Ever was the clearest sign yet. Netflix has shown remarkable patience with Meghan and Harry. From the quietly scrapped Pearl animated series to the lukewarm reception of Live to Lead, the streaming giant stood by them longer than most would. It gave them millions in funding, full creative freedom, and global exposure. But patience eventually runs out, because when a platform hands you everything and you still fail to deliver, the issue isn't the platform anymore. It's the content, and this is where Meghan continues to stumble. Instead of accepting responsibility, she follows a familiar pattern: blame others. It's never her fault. Not the fallout with the royal family, not the Spotify split, not the criticism from the press. Every time there's a scapegoat. And this time it's Netflix's chief content officer, Bela Bajaria, the very executive who, according to insiders, fought to keep Meghan's projects alive. But the truth is far more uncomfortable. This isn't sabotage. It's overreach. Meghan expected red carpet treatment without earning it. She wanted to lead the conversation without laying the groundwork. In an industry as fast-moving and competitive as entertainment, name recognition can open the door. But it can't keep it open. You have to prove yourself. And when you don't, the industry simply moves on. Internally, As Ever was viewed as a final test. One last chance to show Meghan could create content that truly connected with audiences. But instead of rising to the challenge, she tightened her grip. Reports from behind the scenes say Meghan micromanaged every part of production, rewriting scripts, rejecting creative input, and obsessing over how things looked rather than what they meant. The result? A show that felt cold, overproduced, preachy. It wasn't a story, it was a message, and not a particularly compelling one. Audiences noticed. They didn't feel inspired, they felt talked at. So they turned it off. Meanwhile, Meghan blames Netflix. But the same platform has successfully launched women-led shows like Shonda Rhimes' Bridgerton and Mindy Kaling's Never Have I Ever, shows that broke records, built fan bases, and delivered emotional impact. The difference? Those shows had strong storytelling, authenticity, and heart. They weren't vanity projects. They earned their success. So what does that say about As Ever? It says the problem wasn't Netflix. It was the content. Now, the ripple effects are spreading. Industry insiders are starting to talk, not just about Meghan's latest flop, but about her growing reputation behind closed doors. Words like difficult, controlling, and impossible to please are being whispered more openly. One former producer even said, "Working with Meghan feels like walking through a PR minefield. You never know when she'll turn on you." That's not just uncomfortable, it's unsustainable. The fallout from As Ever isn't limited to poor viewership. It's damaged relationships, shaken trust, and revealed a harsh industry truth. Meghan Markle is no longer seen as an asset. She's viewed as a risk. And in Hollywood, where time is money and reputation matters, that kind of label is hard to shake. Once celebrated as a fresh, powerful voice, Meghan now faces a different narrative. One where control, ego, and inexperience have overshadowed potential. Her carefully crafted image is cracking, and the world is watching closely to see what, if anything, she does next. In Hollywood, you're only as strong as your latest success. And As Ever wasn't just a stumble. It was a full-on collapse. The data paints a clear picture. After an initial burst of curiosity, viewership nosedived. Audiences didn't stick around, and engagement dropped fast. Social media, once a safe haven of support for Meghan, is now filled with criticism, sarcasm, and relentless memes. Even Netflix, the platform that once stood solidly behind her, has gone silent. No statements, no defenses, no pushback. That silence speaks louder than any press release ever could. Meghan isn't being protected anymore. She's being left behind. This isn't just the failure of a show. It's the collapse of trust. Trust from platforms, from industry insiders, and most importantly, from the audience. Meghan Markle was once seen as a fresh, bold voice. Now, she's becoming an example, a warning of what happens when image is valued more than substance, and when creative control overrides collaboration. Her ongoing feud with Bela Bajaria only amplifies the issue. It's not shielding her. It's exposing her. Because at this point, blaming others doesn't change the outcome. It just makes the pattern clearer. She's not struggling because of sabotage. She's struggling because the audience no longer connects, Because credibility can't be manufactured, and because trust, once lost, is hard to regain. In the end, the PR headlines fade, the flashy deals expire, what really lasts is the work. And as ever proved that Meghan's work can't stand on fame alone. Her Netflix chapter was supposed to be her big moment, a new platform, free from the palace with full creative power. But now, it's clear, the industry is moving forward, and Meghan is being left in the background. Even season 2 of With Love, Meghan, once promoted as a heartfelt window into her true voice, has failed to reignite interest. The show feels stuck, unable to grow, overproduced, emotionally distant, and lacking the spark of sincerity that today's audience craves. Critics called it repetitive, viewers tuned out. Even longtime supporters are beginning to wonder, is there anything left to say that isn't perfectly scripted? Rather than shifting her approach or exploring new depth, Meghan remains firmly in her bubble, portraying herself as a misunderstood icon at odds with a world that just doesn't get her. But the truth is, people do get her. They just don't feel her anymore. Modern audiences crave honesty, imperfection, connection, not curated vulnerability and calculated narratives. If season 1 was the warning sign, season 2 is the final confirmation. This series was never about real connection. It was about message control. And as every new episode airs, it becomes more obvious. Meghan Markle's message isn't landing, not because the world is blind to her story, but because she's lost touch with the world she's trying to reach.